In case this is your first time watching Dungeon Crawl Talk Soup, my show is one part podcast with my friends, one part perilous permadeath gaming challenge. Mostly I chat with my friends about a topic they love, but rarely get the chance to talk about at length, but at the same time, I'm trying to get my first win at Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. The catch is, if my character dies, the episode ends. Hope you enjoy the show.
But yeah, so I think that's I guess that's the second sort of tenet of my workout structure is on a daily basis. I think some people could do it on a weekly or even monthly basis too. But for me, it's really on a daily basis of the night before, I'll say how am I feeling? What am I in the mood for? How do I want to mix up my workout tomorrow? And then kind of choose things that way. And I think that also helps me to be more engaged with it because it's not like I'm forcing myself to do something that's already preset. I'm sort of electing to do whatever feels best to me on a given day. Which I feel a lot better about.
That's incredible. I mean, we really couldn't be much further away from each other in fitness mentality.
Yeah, because you really like to do sort of more structured series, right? The last exercise thing you did was a 12-week program.
Yeah, so we did a 12-week program on YouTube where it was the same, where the video is already set and we did them right in order. And the only optional thing was there's 5 per week, so there was 2 days to take off during the week at some point. But no, having that structure, it helped ensure that I didn't slack off any more than I could. Going back to the fundamental aspect of your fitness regime, which is psychological improvement through fitness time and through the time that allows you to essentially meditate, like you said, right? That's your core reasoning for fitness, right? That isn't my core reason for fitness. Although I wonder whether it should be, but I get a lot of meditative time from other things. I do walk quite a lot. And get a lot of meditative time there, but I'm listening to podcasts and stuff too then, so I should probably spend more time investing in the meditative side of it. But fitness for me has really been about 2 things. 1, long life, and 2, vanity. And so being fit long enough to be able to see my grandkids or whatever, and then being fit enough to be able to comfortably take my shirt off when it's time to go to the beach.
Yeah, but I think those are 2 really legit goals, right? And also very common goals, but
Yeah.
I like having that kind of baseline. I sort of similar to the take your shirt off thing. The way that I sort of set a baseline for myself is I want to be able to just go for a run with almost anyone, at any time, right? Not be worried about are they going to run faster than me? Are they going to run longer than me? Just be able to kind of keep up with whoever, as long as they're not a super competitive runner.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have that sort of, I guess it's sort of not necessarily a goal, but just a baseline of this is the main, I don't know, lifestyle that I want to be able to lead at any given point.
I'll expose that a long time ago, back in our previous lives before being parents, I was training for a half marathon, and I told you about that, and you were like, oh, I'll sign up and I'll run with you. And then I don't think you actually necessarily prepared specifically for the half marathon, but then you came and ran the marathon with me, and I was nearly dead by the 10th mile, and you were just humming along and probably could have gone an extra 30 seconds per mile faster the entire time.
That was a really fun race. I do remember that 10-mile point. I remember being oh, you're doing so well. Usually people really start to feel it right now, really start hitting a wall, and it feels pretty gross. And you're yeah, I'm there. Oh,
oh yeah, I'm dying. Oh, by the way, I am dying inside right now.
You seemed like you were doing great. But
I was high on the adrenaline. Yeah, the adrenaline of being in a race. I love being in a race, but that speaks to I need a goal when I'm doing fitness, and the 12-week program was I just want to successfully accomplish this 12-week program, and the same with running races. I want to successfully. I've actually been thinking about signing up for another half marathon just so I can get back on running.
Hmm.
And I do love running. It's not that I don't love the joy of running by itself, but I just find myself like struggling with like, what am I trying to accomplish here?
Right.
Um, and
And that
so
does like make it a little bit more exhausting if you feel like there's not a specific thing that you're working towards. It's like, oh, so now I'm just doing this forever. Like there's
yeah,
no end in sight.
but do you have goals inside of your psychology based fitness?
I guess I do. I don't like, I think I have subconscious goals, I guess would be my answer to that. Like for running, I definitely have goals around like I want to run at a certain pace or I want to be able to run like this distance at any given time. Um, and you know what? I also do pay attention. I have an Apple Watch, and so I do pay attention to my health stats through the Apple Watch.
Oh,
Like
that's good.
I track all of my workouts and I never look at my workout history, but like immediately after I'll look at, how did my heart rate and like recovery go and like for running, what was my pace and how far did I go? And so some stats that I really keep an eye on are my resting heart rate, which I actually only started looking at after pregnancy because I know I've mentioned this to you before, Travis. So sorry for repeating, but I thought it was super interesting when I was pregnant both times. Actually, I watched my monthly resting heart rate average just go like a steady slope uphill until I gave birth, and then it like dive bombed and then sort of leveled back out over the
Yeah.
next couple of months. And so between that and VO2 max, which is a measure of how like recovery, essentially, I think it's like how your body like carries blood through your bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a measure of cardiovascular fitness. And those are the two things that when I was pregnant and like obviously not in as great shape as I usually am, I could really see those declining. And then as I started building back up after giving birth, like I could see them recovering and improving. And so I like because of that experience, I now pay attention to both of those as like measures of how physically fit I am because like they were very clear indicators of times when I wasn't like my body just wasn't like processing the same way. So I guess in terms of goals, I don't have like specific numbers in mind, but I want to keep those two metrics healthy or improving at all times. And
Right.
I do pay attention to that.
Do you bake graphs and stuff?
Do
Or
I
do
what?
you look at the graphs in Apple Fitness?
Oh, yes.
Like, do you
Yeah.
nerd out over the graphs? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally do. I look at them very regularly. I have pulled them into a Google Sheet every once in a while to like make my own versions. uh, but I really like looking at that, and I think they do a really good job of making that data really accessible and understandable. So I very much appreciate that.
So I feel like you implied that you had fitness things that you wanted to frown upon. Is that true?
Yes and no. Like so, one of the things that I guess I get maybe self conscious is the wrong word, but I I get a little bit self conscious, nervous about talking about fitness with other people because I think like especially people who know me and know how much I work out or how consistently I work out because I feel like people when I talk about it, people either feel like I'm bragging about it or I'm judging them for not working out and like nothing could really be further from the truth. Like I don't care what anyone else thinks about my workout regimen. I don't care at all about anyone else's workout regimen or how often they do or do not work out. Like it really does not matter to me. I guess like case in point is my husband never works out
Oh,
ever. And I never really talk to him about my workouts and
throwing
like
him under the bus. He's just completely thrown under the bus. He doesn't even know that that bus just hit him.
I know it's true. He does walk a lot also, but like our approaches are very, very different.
Sure.
Um, and I guess that kind of bothers me that I think fitness, like for a lot of people, is a very like sensitive subject, and like they take it very personally when someone else is talking about their fitness. Like it's, and I get that it's like hard not to sort of reflect on your own situation when someone else is talking about that, but I think it like makes it, I don't know, I think it just makes it harder for everyone when that's the perspective of like, rather than being happy for someone else or like relating to someone else, you're kind of just reflecting on your own situation. It just makes it really hard to, I don't know, to like enjoy the experience and also to bond with other people about the experience. And so I guess that's my complaint about fitness, is like it can be kind of lonely unless, like, to your point, like you have someone like Jess who you're actively working out with and training with, or like you have a team who you're working out with where like you're all kind of on the same page. Like it can be like kind of isolating, or even like fractious, I guess, in
Okay.
friendship.
There's so many cool things in what you talked about there. One, I'm going to start at the end there first, is that what's interesting is you also have talked about how your fitness time is your time to be alone and to
Mhm.
be with your thoughts and be reflective. And I think that's interesting. But then it also, if it goes too far, ends up being isolating and being very lonely. And that's an interesting challenge at the end
Mhm.
of your rope of your first pillar of the psychological value of fitness. But I actually wanted to go back to the first thing that you were saying. Yeah, the thing that you were saying about. Oh, okay. No, I'll go backwards. The other thing I wanted to mention was that explains why you liked going to classes too, right? Because then it's not an isolating thing,
Mhm.
right? You're with a bunch of people doing it all together, and you're all like making it through with the coach, and the coach is there to help you, and you can all talk about the experience afterwards and stuff.
Mhm. I
But
will
then,
say that I am totally not one of those. I totally don't like making friends with people in workout classes. Like my best friends in my workout classes were the people who I would see on a weekly basis, and we would stand next to each other in the front row, and we would say good morning, and then we do our workouts, and then we'd leave. And I like didn't even know. I still remember this guy who I still see around the Upper West Side from the time to time and like wave to. Like, I don't know his name. I don't know anything about him, but like I have so many fond memories of my time with him.
I think that's not bad. I think that's not bad. You can be a single serving friend like that, just a friend that's for this specific occasion. And we don't
Yeah,
have to be friends outside of this.
that was nice.
But I couldn't agree with you more that like you're basically what you were talking about is projection. Basically, people can't have let others have a conversation about themselves without turning it back and having it be about them.
Yeah,
And that
projection.
is an incredibly frustrating thing when you're just trying to share a little bit about something that you care about. Hold on, I might have to go, Liz. I think I have a child calling out to me. Hello?
Hi, sorry, I'm still here.
Oh, we were talking about how people that don't want to hear about your fitness success because it bothers them and makes them feel bad about their lack of fitness success. Those are
Yeah,
the real villains. Those are those are the real villains.
yeah. So that actually made me think of another thing. I guess like my two biggest pet peeves with the whole fitness thing is that, like the projection aspect of it and like the self judgment, which again, like, not to say that I'm totally innocent of that either, but
Of judging
um,
other people's.
right, right. But like, yeah, I think I try to have like a more healthy perspective about it. And then the other thing that I think is a big pet peeve of mine, sort of related to the projection aspect of things, is that I think other people also project onto you, like, oh, you don't work out, and so you must have other unhealthy habits, or oh, you work out all the time, like you must be a super like health junkie and like only be interested in health and fitness. And I get that a lot. Like I'll have a donut or something. People are like, oh, like, wow, you're eating a donut. This must be a big deal. I'm like, I eat donuts weekly. Like, I don't know what you're talking about here. Like, I do not eat super healthily. Like, I drink. Like, I think people make a lot of, based on your fitness behaviors, people make a lot of assumptions about you that I think are like unfair.
Yeah.
And so that's another sort of like sort of social aspect of fitness that I take issue with.
And then, do you think that there's any people that are too judgy in the other way? The people that are very fitness and are judgy of people that are not fitness oriented?
Oh, totally. And I definitely know some of them. So yeah, I don't know. I really do believe that it's like a personal choice, and there are other ways to feel like healthy and fulfilled, and like it's not just about fitness. Um,
There's
that
just too
said,
much judgment in the entire ecosystem.
yeah, yeah, I think there's just a lot of I don't know, a lot of like stereotyping and yeah, a lot of assumptions made, and it's just it can be like a pretty unfair
Cut it out,
space.
people. Be and I just love it because you're just like, I think that your fitness journey is yours, and I bet you'd love to hear about anybody's fitness journey wherever they're at. And I've actually witnessed you having great conversations with people about their fitness journeys, specifically
Yeah.
me often. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really like exciting and interesting, and I think like it's fun to see people like get motivated towards a like a goal or just get excited about like a workout. I like hearing about other workouts that people enjoy. Um, oh, I was just gonna say something. Um, Now it's escaped me. I forget. But yeah, so like along those lines, I think part of it too is that I've always been a really big team sport person,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that I do a lot of working out alone now. And I think that's sort of the mentality that I take about it is like we're all just like working out as like part of a team, and like we're all here together, just like enjoying our time. Whereas I think a lot of other people, especially people who are more goal oriented like you are, where you're like I'm working out for this specific purpose, like I think they get really competitive about it, and I think that's where some of that judgment and like projection comes in too, is like if you have a really competitive view on fitness and working out, then like it can be kind of stressful in that way, and you like can set yourself up for like some pretty tough comparisons and like disappointments. And I don't know, I personally, for me, the team mentality is a lot more productive and enjoyable, and I think that's
Yeah.
what helps me to keep enjoying fitness and enjoying like other people's journeys too, as opposed to like being competitive and judgmental about it.
I love it. I love the way that it's all about like we're all on this journey to of health together.
Yeah,
And we're all fighting the demons of sedentary lifestyle.
right. Yeah, and I've totally like been involved in training programs and stuff with people like people on my team, or I remember like in high school I would go on these summer programs that were really fun, and like if other people were training for a fall sport, we'd like run together and work out together and stuff. I remember one time, one morning someone came up to me and was like, Liz, like I I didn't do the workout this morning. I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't, why
Aw.
are you telling me this? Like, but they like, I don't know. They felt like it was their requirement to like let me know. I was like, I don't care. I don't care about your like fitness journey. Like, you do whatever you want. Like, but I think, yeah, some people just have that sort of, I don't know, like guilt about it. And like I guess that accountability is good, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a really unproductive way to look at it, and probably is going to result in you not being like happy about working out, and also like if you miss one workout, you're more likely to miss a week of working out if you feel that way.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's me. That part. But the accountability, you just brought up accountability. That's a huge aspect for me too. I need accountability. I love to
Yeah.
have somebody else that is holding me accountable to what I'm trying to do. So Jess and I trying to get through the 12 weeks, or you and me, I like signing up for the half marathon together. Previous half marathons I've ran with other people. I was in a running team earlier this year,
Hmm.
and like, yeah, having something to be accountable to is an important aspect of fitness for me.
Hmm.
And but it's not for you in any way. but you don't judge me for it, but I'm not trying to say you are, but I think what I'm interested in is like, this is really interesting because there's a world in which I can take the fitness for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I do enjoy running in and of itself, but I just am so goal oriented that I just like constantly am like, what can I do to get better? And that's one of the things I've struggled with weightlifting. I tried to get
Mm-hmm.
into weightlifting, gain some, get beef up a little bit, get beefy for all the ladies, and
All the ladies being Jess and Betsy.
yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I literally have nobody I'm trying to impress at this point. But this besides the point. um, I it's really for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
I try to beef up, but it's like if I'm gonna beef up, like how do I measure the? It's totally an analytics nerd thing. How do I measure what like beefiness is?
Right.
And then
Yeah, that's
like who's gonna hold me accountable to it? Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But I don't have to be
Yeah.
that way. I can just do it for the joy of the exercise itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another that sort of makes me think of another way that a lot of people measure this is their weight.
Oh
Um,
yeah, uh huh.
which I think is also for me that would be super toxic. Like I'm a very numbers focused person. I've gotten focused on my weight before and it has not ended well. So like
Uh huh.
would prefer not to make that a goal. But I think that's another thing that a lot of people sort of gear towards is like looking good in clothes, but also like getting to a certain weight or a certain size or something like that. And I totally get that as a goal. And I think that can be a productive motivator, but I think that's another sort of thing where it's like, okay, once you reach that goal, like what now? Like, do you shift to a mode of maintenance or do you kind of abandon ship and like sort of come back to that again at a later time? Like, I think that's also something that's really interesting to me is like I've seen a lot of people who, especially around like a big event like a birthday or a wedding or something like that, will like work to this, like work very hard to get to this specific body type and then
Yeah.
just abandon it and go totally back to what they were before. And like, I'm sure in a lot of cases that's healthier actually, but it's just so interesting to me that you could like achieve that and then just like totally like let it go in 180 and go back to the way things were like that's just to me like I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around that.
Yeah.